What's up, everybody? Good late morning or early afternoon for some of you. The Combine watch-along stream will be getting underway in a little more than an hour here. Right around noon, we will go live and we will watch the Underwear Olympics for tight ends and defensive backs on NFL Network and get to kind of keep a running tally of how things are going, who jumps out to us positively, who jumps out to us negatively. If you have NFL Network and can watch along, then watch along with me. If not, you can at least see how I'm feeling about things based on the results. So tune in a little more than an hour. But before we get there, I want to talk about something big picture here. I want to talk about something big picture as it regards the Seattle Seahawks and explain why I feel like this offseason calls for an emphatic move with regards to the quarterback position. And what I mean is, I think that this offseason is clearly the offseason where the Seahawks need to either commit long-term to Geno Smith or commit short-term to Geno Smith. And the thing to avoid would be to hang out in the middle of those two things and stand on the fence. And let me try to explain why here. You guys know that I have in some previous videos suggested extending Geno Smith now. And now in this video, I'm going to kind of suggest the opposite of that. But it's a strong opposite, right? Now, I'm not talking about moving Geno Smith now, because I think after yesterday with the Schultz report that we got, combined with the restructuring, it's clearly not happening, and I don't feel like wasting time on it anymore. At this point, a Geno Smith trade would be bizarre. A Geno Smith trade would be kind of, in some ways, maybe even a little bit dirty. And it would be, unless the trade return is massive, nonsensical. So I'm not talking about this year. Geno Smith will be the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks this year. I don't see any reason to believe otherwise. But here's what I'm going to say. This offseason, the Seahawks should do one of two things. They should either say Geno Smith is the guy for the next several years and extend him now while he's coming off an okay season and bet on him playing really well for the next few years, or they need to get his heir apparent in the building now to prepare for him to take over in 2025. So when you take a look at the 2024 consensus big board for quarterbacks, it's good, right? This is a good quarterback class. From where we stand right now, this is a very good quarterback class. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy is rocketing up draft boards lately. People are starting to like him in the top 15. Bo Nix and Michael Penix have their own value. They're considered, I think, generally early second-round picks, but I think they could go higher than that easily. And then you kind of have Spencer Rattler looming as the wild card somewhere in the third or fourth round, if I had to guess right now. But the point is, this is a good quarterback class at the top. As you go down, it gets a little bit tougher. There are some guys that I think are interesting, but they're lottery tickets. Joe Milton figuring out how to play the quarterback position is like buying a lottery ticket. Jordan Travis being able to make it all the way back from his devastating injury is a lottery ticket. Small school Michael Pratt being able to make it in the NFL is a lottery ticket. So you're looking at these top 7 guys, really. I'm going to put Rattler in there as well, but you could argue it's top 6. Whatever. It's this top 6 plus Rattler. It's the he's like the guest star here. And that's a good crop. That is a good top 7. All 7 of these guys are going to be very appealing to a significant subset of the NFL. Obviously, most talent evaluators love Caleb. I know Drake May is slipping a tiny bit, but I still don't believe he's going to actually slip out of the top 5. Jaden Daniels is coming off the Heisman. McCarthy has become the fascination of the entire nation all of a sudden. Nix and Penix speak for themselves, and Rattler is clearly a very talented individual, just a little bit troubled. So if you are looking for a quarterback of the future, this top, I'll say top 7, is a really good top 7 to be choosing from. So if the Seattle Seahawks do not want to take the plunge on a long-term Geno Smith extension, and by long-term I mean like 2 more years, basically committing to him for at least 1 season after this one, probably 2. So if the Seahawks decide they don't want to do that, then even though it may be expensive in terms of draft capital, they need to come away with one of these 7 guys. And I say that because if they don't, it leaves them in a very bad situation going into 2025. And the reason why I say that is because if you do not extend Geno Smith now, you're going to be left in an awkward position no matter what happens. If Geno Smith has a really good 2024 and is playing at a level where you feel comfortable making him your franchise quarterback for a couple more years, he's going to be way more expensive because he's going to be coming off a monster season. And if he doesn't play very well and you don't feel comfortable making him the long-term option, you don't really have anybody to replace him with. So what I'm trying to get at here is if you're planning on moving off of him after 2024, find the replacement now because it's going to be hard next year. And the reason why I say that is because this quarterback class in 2025 looks bad. It just does. This quarterback class is rough. And I want you guys to think about it for a second here. 2022, me and the Hawks Nest and a lot of evaluators spent a lot of time talking about how that quarterback class looked really good, and then it wasn't. It was C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Big Gap, Will Levis, and then not really much else. It ended up being a pretty mediocre quarterback class. Now, it had some really good guys in it. Levis looks good. C.J. Stroud looks awesome. Maybe Bryce Young figures something out. Richardson looked good, I guess. Well, we're going to have to see more. But that quarterback class looked very intriguing, and it never really got out of the hangar. It never really blossomed into the historic quarterback class that it was looking like at one point. 2024. I'm sorry. That was the 2023 draft class. 2024 draft class. This is another one. Now, this is a good quarterback class, but we were talking about it in historic terms at one point before the season started. And we've landed in a place where clearly it's good, but it's not as good as we expected. So if we're going into the 2025 quarterback class and we're like, this looks bad, how bad is it actually going to be when the season gets here, right? Like, we think it looks bad now. What happens when some of these guys end up not declaring? Some of them end up getting exposed as being not very good throughout the season. Some of them get hurt, etc. Like things are going to happen that probably make this quarterback class worse by the end of the year. Like I don't even know who Curtis Rourke is, and now he's the number 1 quarterback. Cam Ward. By the way, I know some people are probably looking at like these values on the left-hand side, and they're saying, oh, that's not so bad. Cam Ward in the 2nd round, Shedeur Sanders in the 2nd round, Quinn Ewers in the 2nd round, Riley Leonard in the 3rd round. But if those guys perform at all, like if they even look decent, they're not going to stay there. They're going to go up into the 1st round. Like, as of right now, I think that by the time the season ends, Cameron Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and Quinn Ewers will be the top 3 quarterbacks. And by necessity, they will probably all go in the 1st round. They're not as bad as like the 2022 quarterback class where nobody went in the 1st round except for Kenny Pickett. No, they're a little better than that. But there's nothing here that jumps out to me other than maybe Riley Leonard. And we're going to have to see what Riley Leonard looks like after his injury. But this is not inspiring whatsoever. So next offseason, if you move off Geno and you don't have the guy in place, you're going to be trying to replace him from here. And that is something I want to avoid. Because the thing to understand is, even if a couple of these guys end up kicking butt, like Shedeur Sanders could end up kicking butt, Cam Ward could end up kicking butt, guess what? They're going to go really high, and you're not going to have a chance to take them. And you're going to end up picking from whatever remains of the remaining guys who didn't look so good and are still available where you pick. So you're trying to thread the needle here. You're trying to thread the needle by saying, we're going to wait until 2025 to draft the quarterback of the future. We're not going to be picking that high because we're not going to be bad enough to be in the top 5. So we're going to hope that a quarterback that we really like, who is really good, is still there whenever we pick in the teens or the 20s or whatever. So I want to avoid that scenario. And I also kind of want to avoid the scenario of having to play a rookie from day one because you don't have anybody else. Like, I understand that that's kind of the way things are done now, but I'd prefer to not be forced into that. I want the option. So let's take care of this now before we see this quarterback class start to melt away. Because again, if you think it's bad now, the odds are good it's only going to get worse. So let's take care of the issue now if we think there's going to be an issue later. So that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. And look, I still think we go quarterback, quarterback, quarterback to kick off the 2024 draft. Caleb, May, and Daniels go in some order. And I suspect now that McCarthy is going to be gone before we pick, because it seems like Denver really likes him. It seems like a lot of teams in that area like him. Maybe Atlanta likes him at 8. Like, it's turning into that. People really are turning on to J.J. McCarthy in a way that they weren't until recently. So, realistically, if you don't trade up, and I don't think we're going to trade up, you're looking at Nix, Penix, and Rattler. And obviously, Rattler would be a lot cheaper than Nix or Penix. But point is this. Either extend Geno Smith now and say he's our quarterback for the next few years, or draft a quarterback in this draft in the top, I'd say 100, and put him behind Geno as the guy who is clearly coming to take over in 2025. That way, you're not caught with your pants down when Geno Smith either has a great season or he has a not so great season. You're covered either way. Because if Geno Smith has a great season, but then he wants like $60 million a year, you can go, well, it sucks, but we do have a guy ready to go who we've been preparing for the last year. Let's just go to him. We can't afford $60 million a year. And if he's bad, then you can just say, okay, no problem. We'll just go to the next guy. So do one or do the other. Don't hang out in the middle and keep Geno on this deal and not bring in somebody as an heir apparent. Or don't get a veteran backup. That's how I'm feeling about things right now. See you guys later. Go Hawks. See you guys in stream soon. Just wanted to go on about this little theory I have.